And there you go. The deck is basically done. Man, it is moving along. All right, guys, so we're getting started. So we're going to be starting with the deck. We're actually recycling a deck that we already had. So that's pretty much what we're going to be focusing on this video, is actually tearing down a deck and rebuilding it in another location. I've never done this before, but I was very surprised how quick this thing went together. Probably about a total of maybe 4 hours. Yeah, I was not expecting that at all, especially recycling a deck. But yeah, not too bad. So, we got the house, we got the land, we got the money, mostly. But here's the real question. Can we take this old rundown shack and turn it into a beautiful home for $20,000 or less? Let's find out.
It actually will.
All right, so the very first thing we have to do is pull the screws out of the deck and start loading up the boards. And Dad realized the camera was on. Literally just plug in like a few seconds. So yeah, people think I'm a goofball, but hey, that's where I get it. And now that I'm finally done, I don't need this stupid thing no more. I'm not that dumb. These things cost a lot of money. So no matter what you do, you're just going to have challenges in your life. So I'm driving my dad's Prius right now, and the key fob went out. And, you know, it's probably a couple $100 to get it replaced. So I had to get creative to start the car. So for some reason, the battery keeps going dead. So I had to take it apart. I got to use the little key fob piece. Basically, plug it in, start the car, and then take the battery back out. So that's how I'm starting the car right now. But hey, you know what? At least I'm not stranded. It could be worse. It could be better. They could have put a little key thing for the actual key to go into, but they probably did that on purpose so you have to buy a new key fob. These dang business people are always thinking. So we are officially starting on the house today, and you know, I told you there was going to be surprises, and of course we've got one already. So the floor joist right here where the deck was, the old deck that we tore out, it is pretty rotten. Now again, I told you there's going to be surprises, there's going to be challenges here and there, and this is one of them. But the good thing is most of the house is good. Even where we dug out the dirt in the back, where all the dirt was touching the floor joists, there's no rot. I mean, it's a huge blessing because that's a bunch we don't have to tear out. I told you I was going to share the good and the bad, and that's what we're doing. But to be honest with you, this ain't so bad.
So we're going to take out this part right here. It seems to be the only rotten part. Then we're going to replace it with a treated 2x8. Change your video up. Get you. So stat.
That's what the editing process is for. So the good thing about this is that we're not having to replace the entire thing. We can just cut out the bad parts. So it's going to save some money. It's going to save some time. But again, it's necessary.
And the blade coming.
And we got the blade out.
The next one is good. Kinda. I'd actually replaced all that already. I didn't replace this one yet. I'm replacing it now because we're fixing to put the deck in. I have to do it now. But like I said, I'm gonna put a new treated 2x8 where this was. And I had to stop on this support because it's the only support for a while. But we will support a new one and it'll be as good as new.
Yep, support's always good for holding up a house.
Yeah.
I gotta show my son this. He's always like looking for information. So we've been out giving a tour to a friend of ours, showing him the land, and You know, it's funny, I just realized I've never jumped on this four-wheeler and just rode around the land. I've always drove the mule, and you know, the side-by-side, it's fun. But man, getting out here on this four-wheeler, whew, I'm having a blast.
Well, I'm going to go today to Salvation Army and see if I can find some better work clothes. I know now that Travis wants me to be on camera, I've got to try to look a little better for you. I remember I have a good friend that was kind of associated with the Dallas Cowboys. We got to play golf and go to the Cowboy games, and good guy. But he told me one day, I said something about Walmart, and he said he wouldn't be caught dead buying clothes in Walmart. Caring about what other people think can be pretty expensive. My wife died of cancer after 20 years of working at the hospital. She's a vascular tech, and one thing she taught me was saving money and helping an organization like Salvation Army was a win-win. I have to leave here in a little bit to do that, but I guess right now I'm going to get started. Ever since I started looking back, well, I'm blind as a bat. Well, Travis is gone, so I'm going to have to do this by myself, and it's a little bit more complicated. What you'll see me do is I'll hold it up temporarily, and I'll pour my concrete and set my post later. But when you're by yourself, you just have to do what you got to do. Here we go. Go. That's it until I get a header built.
So I actually work in a grocery store, and I actually go around and help other stores. My store doesn't have these stickers. I don't understand this. Chiller. Why is that necessary? And then this one, frozen. I could hear their meeting at corporate when they were trying to come up with these signs. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to this morning's meeting. We got some lox and cream cheese over there. There's also some caviar and champagne if anybody's interested. So why don't we just start out today with a bang? Anybody got any ideas? Anyone? Yes, sir, I have an idea. Okay, James, yeah, the floor is all yours. Okay, so as you know, I went to college for psychology and personal development. Yes, James, that's true. You tell us every single day. Okay, well, I just want to clarify. I want to make sure that my skills aren't going to waste, and you guys know exactly what I went to college for. Psychology and personal development. Judy, you know that?
Yes, James.
Yeah, that makes sense. I understand. So what's your idea? Okay, so one of the biggest mistakes I think most companies make is they think their employees care about stuff like raises, you know, vacation time, better benefits. They don't care about that kind of stuff. Okay, continue. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I think what they care about more than anything is kind of like a fun work environment. Okay, for example, let's just say one of our employees is walking around the back room, you know, and he's like, you know what, the text on the walls is boring. I think I'm gonna quit. And we definitely don't want that. Okay, so what I'm thinking is, instead of like, for example, instead of like the cooler, we say something like chiller. Or instead of like a freezer section, we say something like frozen. Okay. I'm going to be honest with you, you're kind of losing me. Yes, sir, I understand that. I went to school for personal development and psychology. That's why you hired me, correct? That is why we hired you. Fantastic point. Now, you're probably wondering, why would this work? What it's going to do is actually lift the morale, and it's going to make people never want to leave, and probably want to bring their kids on to work for us forever, and never question anything we ever do, ever. Okay, so you really think this is going to keep them from wanting raises? Oh, yeah, absolutely, 100%. Okay, let's do it. Speaking of raises, this man deserves a raise, huh, everybody? Oh, come on now. I don't deserve a raise, okay? But if you want to give me one, I'll take it. I'll see you on the golf course, Tim. How's your wife doing, Tim? She enjoying that pool you built? Yeah. Well, you didn't build it. You paid someone to build it. So what do you say we go play some golf after work? After work? Heck, I say we do it right now. Let's put it on the company's bill. Hey, sounds good to me. Hang on just a second. Waiter, can I get some of that caviar to go? Can you just put it in a little container? Hey, and did you see that new sign I put in the bathroom over the sink? It says hand sanitation station. That's fun, right? Awesome, buddy. Hey, good job. Good job cleaning those toilets. You're fantastic. You deserve a raise. You're not getting one, but you deserve it. Okay, guys, meeting adjourned. Thank you so much for being here. Let's go play some golf. I think we've got a lot done today. So as you can tell, we've done quite a bit of work on the deck. Well, he's done quite a bit of work. I've been at my job, so I haven't been able to help too much. But it's Saturday, I don't work today, so I'm gonna be able to help today. I said today a lot. We're gonna be taking the cedar beam up here that's holding up the deck and replacing it with a 2x6 beam. So it's gonna be 2 beams put together, and it's just gonna make it look a little different. The cedar log is a little bit hard to attach, and it looks maybe a little bit too rustic.
Okay, you want to walk your end all the way around. Pick it up and just walk that way. Now turn it over. So it's going to go right there. Okay, don't worry. I gotta do it again. Let's don't worry about the height of here. All we gotta do is cut these whatever size we want and raise it up.
Okay, I guess we'll do a gutter at some point, right?
That's up to you.
I mean, that's going to be interesting on rainy days, just getting pummeled by water.
I mean, if you want gutter, I guess you'll get it. You always get what you want. By fault.
So, let me know in the comments, should we have a gutter or not a gutter? And I'm going to assume you're going to say gutter so you don't get drenched every time it rains, but let me know anyways.
Ready? Yeah. Okay, good.
So the next goal is to remove the log that's behind that beam now. Now I think it looks a little crooked in the camera, and I think it's because of how my stand is setting, but it's very level. Now here's the thing too, so it took him about 3 hours to build this deck, and he was able to use recycled wood. Now I know we're not able to really show you step by step, but let us know if this is something that you want to see, if maybe you want to know how to build a deck. So a couple of quick things about the deck. Basically what Dad said he did was he didn't nail down any of the boards as he was cutting them. The reason for this is, if you come up short on the end, you're gonna have to cut a weird looking board. So it's gonna be more narrow than these 2x6s. So what you do instead is once you get all your boards lined out, then you can screw them in after you've spaced them a little bit and make it look like it's supposed to. The second thing is, since we had to recycle some wood and we didn't wanna waste a lot of material, which that right there is the leftover material that was from the other deck, he just took several boards, cut them, and put them together and tried to keep them in line. Now, like he was telling me, this is not ideal, but when you're trying to save money and recycle wood, this is your best option.
Even if you're building a big deck, you'd still have to splice your wood, so that's not a big deal to put splices in it.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense. Again, just reusing material, trying to cut down waste. I mean, if you're doing this on a budget, you're gonna have to get creative, and you want it to look as professional as possible, so that's the goal. But as you can tell, you can make it pretty seamless. Most people aren't gonna notice it when they step on your deck. All right, so the tally this week is actually very simple. It's 0. We already had the lumber, so that makes it really simple. And we're still sitting at 800 bucks. So we still got a lot of money to work with. That's great. All right, so the next step is actually removing this huge log. Now you wouldn't think it, but Dad said it's actually in there pretty solid. So I'm assuming what they probably did was go down from those 2x4s and probably put some pretty long screws or maybe even some bolts, but I guess we're gonna find out when we cut it.
Or tub, whatever it is.
Well, they didn't want it coming off, that's for sure, which I guess makes sense. That thing is definitely solid. You can smell it. It's got that thing smoking.
I guess I'll change the blades.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is rule number 1. I keep doing this. Don't leave this open when you fill up the pump because animals get in there, and I keep making this mistake. I don't know if you guys saw some of my original vlogs, but I had an animal under the house, and that's how it's getting in. And so it's completely my fault. Close the door. It's not that hard. Okay.
talked about.
So we actually bought a big bag of bird seed to feed the birds and the squirrels and all that, and something tore the bag open, so now we're having to spread it out all over the yard. While I was at work, Dad actually ended up pulling out all the insulation that was in the walls, pulled off the metal, pulled out a lot of the insulation that was stuffed kind of between the roof and the walls. And this was actually the only thing keeping out the cold, keeping out the bugs. Hey, so what are we gonna do in here?
Well, I got all this tore out here. I'm going to tear out this plates and put a double 2x8 header across here to hold up this loft, to hold up this wall, and we will not have to have anything in the middle because the cabinets are going to be over here starting rounds and we don't have no room for beams in the floor. So I've got a double 2x8 this in order not to have any supports. So this will be the weight bearing wall. We'll take this beam out here eventually and put another kind of beam in there. That is I'm on camera. Okay, that's what we're going to start doing here. The next step, I believe.
Another thing we're talking about doing, so this is the loft. I mentioned before that this is going to be my little bedroom area. We're talking about putting a window where you can lay there and look out and see the yard. We also have another idea too of maybe even putting a skylight. I've always loved the idea of laying in bed and looking up at the stars. Now, Dad was saying the trickiest part about this is avoiding leaks. But I think we're going to do it mainly for the channel just to show you guys it can be done. Now, I don't know if you noticed this, but when we pulled the insulation out, this is what's holding that beam up. Now, it's possible that it's not, but it kind of looks like it is, and that seems a little sketchy. But desperate times, I doubt it was actually that desperate. I'll be honest with you, I'm actually kind of curious about the other side now. I think I'm going to tear that out and see. All right, the moment of truth. Nothing. All right, so it seems like it's bolted into the ceiling kind of like the front was, which makes me feel a lot better about the whole situation. So that's good. So Dad was talking about originally tearing that log out, but the better option might be just to wrap it with boards, kind of make it look like a beam because we're having so much trouble cutting this one off the porch. This one's probably not going to be any easier. Now, you did mention maybe doing that on the front too, but the reason that we're not is just because the thickness of it. It's actually going to be easier just to remove it than try to wrap it. But this one above the loft is actually a lot smaller and very consistent. So it's going to be much easier just to wrap it and move on. So I want to mention too, we're not going to just depend on that log for the support. We're not going to depend on that stick for the support. We're actually going to add more support to make sure that it's plenty strong. But again, just wrapping this so you really can't see it. I know a lot of people would say to keep it. But again, we don't want to go super, super rustic on everything. And honestly, it's just kind of ugly. It's got a little bit of dry rot and stuff on it. It almost looks kind of wet in certain areas. It's just not that pretty. Now, I said it looks wet. I don't think it actually is wet, but it's just kind of how it looks. Again, it's just not attractive. So I bought some blackberries and some raspberries to plant, and I kind of forgot to plant them. So there's a good chance I waited too long to plant these things. I kind of forgot about them. I had mentioned in the last video we had blackberries and raspberries, and I started thinking about it. We do, but I haven't planted them. So we've had a big rainy season. I don't know anything about planting. I watched a few videos on this. I know, about getting good topsoil and all that stuff, which I tried to do. Spacing them out, things like that, watering it from time to time. But I really don't know what I'm doing. If you guys have any tips, if you planted blackberries, raspberries, tell me what I did right. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. I don't mind a little bit of correction. I want to make sure I'm doing it right. You guys let me know. My plants only drink filtered water. Actually, I couldn't get the water hose down there, so I just grabbed this off the counter. Is this better to use? I don't know anything. Now, I'm assuming too that's probably pretty easy to overwater them. It has been raining for 2 months straight, so I think the water part of it is actually okay for now. But you guys let me know too, how much do you know is too much water? What's overwatering them? Is Miracle Grow still a thing? Man, you can definitely tell I'm a city boy. I'm like, all I do is drink this stuff. What else you do with it? I'm pretty sure city boys don't talk like that. Yo, bro, what do you do with this stuff besides drink it, bro? You surf on it, bro. This is getting worse. I definitely should have watched more YouTube videos about planting stuff and not waited till it's 95 degrees outside to plant them. I probably messed it up. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. There is fertile soil around here, so maybe it'll make up the difference from my lack of knowledge. I mean, nature takes care of itself, right? I sure hope so. All right, guys, there you go. There's another video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Next week, I'm going to show you the footage of us doing the windows. Yeah, and then we just kind of took a day off, you know, a little bit of a relaxed day. So I also recorded that because that's what I do now, I guess. So we'll see you next week.